Hi, Artie Lane here. I want to elaborate a little bit more on the positive thinking. Sorry about the sun here. Um, it's bright. So what is positive thinking? It's a practice. It's not like I'm generally thinking positively because we like to smile and we like to be in the sun and we think of ourselves as not being, pale, sitting in the corner playing video games all day long, being goth. We're very dramatic and misplaced our self. So we're obviously not objective, and especially if it comes to the mind and what it does, we are definitely not fully aware. Nobody really. The mind is vast, and it's conditioned, and we don't know where it's original and where it's a difficult subject, and we all have a mind, so you know what I'm talking about. And to treat negativity is very, very important because it creates disease, the absence of ease. Because then, the heart constricts, the mind races, or even heart palpitations, fear. And then we go to basic instincts, a reptile brain kicks in and we become all about fight or flight. So we get angry, we're going to, fight ourselves, or we run from it. And really that means maybe physically. So, you run a lot and you exercise a lot and move a lot, basically, to not really sit with the mind that much, and masking it, dulling it, doing, avoiding it, basically. So avoiding looking at it is very common with, with drugs, with alcohol, with, ways we think we calm the mind, we don't. Like watching a movie, it's active. We're so not relaxing the mind when we watch a movie. I know I do it too. And some movies are exciting and some movies are relaxing, but they're not leaving the mind alone. So only in meditation or in sleep you do that. So I am not coming up with this. This is all classic yoga from, the scriptures. And my teachers are Swami Shivananda, who was a medical doctor. He was trained in Western medicine in India, in Rishikesh, in northern India, a very tall man, and he came from, wealthy, well-educated background. And what he understood very quickly is that he really needs to help people who are sick and have no means to cure themselves. So he established ashrams in Rishikesh, in northern India. Those are spiritual places like church. And he created hospitals, free hospitals for all people, the yogis in the Himalaya, and the villagers, and just anybody. And he would accept donations. That's how he maintains the ashram, and also got a lot of disciples. And what he did is doing, he left his body, doesn't reside in his physical body anymore, but he left hundreds of books behind and a lot of teachings. He sent a disciple named Swami Vishnu Devananda to the West. He came I think late 50s, because the West was ready to receive your teachers. They all came at that time. Yogananda, Haridas, the Kundalini version of yoga, and all different yoga schools that came around the same time, because the West was ready for it. So now really the West is in it, but it's really a very heavily exercise oriented yoga. And this is yoga. To practice positive thinking is one of the 5 points Shivananda is making. So this is where it comes from. And there's books written, volumes on positive thinking, the power of thought. Intention becomes thought. It creates will, and the willpower creates action, positive action, and so on. So you get very empowered by it too. It's an awakening tool. And it's really not easy, but the very basic way to start is watching, becoming more distant instead of just being the thinker. You start at, oh, thoughts are coming through me, so that's not all I am. And that's a start to understand that the mind is the mind, and it will just do its movement, and it will come through with all kinds of things. They sometimes come out of nowhere, and they create emotions, and emotions to really create our well-being, or our not so well-being. And our not so well-being, I'm concerned about, is really causing disease. So to be healthy is we have to practice countering a negative thought with a positive thought. It's not easy because society doesn't support this necessarily. For example, a long time ago, I was living in New York City. I remember I was like waitressing in this cool Italian restaurant, and the guy, I liked him, the owner, but I don't even know what it was. I was being me or said something and fired me. So I would go to my yoga studio in New York City, the Jivamukti Yoga Studio, they were my first teachers, Sharon Gann and David Lifes. I came in there and I was like, I just got fired. And society, basically, the people around, they give you that kind of what they think is the right reaction. Just look at this now, like whatever, even if you say like, ooh, you know, I broke my foot, you know, my neighbor had an accident, or my cat is lost. All these things that are met with an oh no, that sucks. Sorry, what are you gonna do now? So that is actually the common support, which is not a support. It doesn't make me feel better. I know it's meant to be that way, or even people come up with more horrible stories to point out that my story is really not that horrible. You know, like there's always the starving children, and that never helps. Actually, it just down spirals us further. It's like so hopeless. Well, what am I going to do? It's so hopeless, terrible. It's everywhere terrible. So, like, I got fired. So I would go to my yoga studio. I got fired. And Sharon said, like, good. And I liked that so much. It's unforgettable. That moment was like, great. But then I was like instantly like, well, what's great about that? And she said, we can start over again. And then I was like, that's great, I want to start over again. And then, you know, I fell instantly, like a moment later, into like, what am I going to do? And then, what am I going to do became not like a, oh, it became like an invitation. Ooh, what am I going to do? So it really, you see how it really it inspires a different way at having power in life, in my own life, and my choices. It's a very big practice, and I invite you to take that on for your own, not just sanity, but for your well-being, really, for us, everybody around. So, because you know how it is, like, so I just broke up with my boyfriend, and then you're becoming this bad news, like, oh, she's still not over it. Ooh, that life still sucks, and your friends still call. It really is in society right now really important to create that positive counter thinking. So you counter a negative thought with a positive thought. And even if you don't believe it in the beginning, it's a practice. So like, I just got fired. Of course you feel like this, like, oh God, because it's maybe a surprise. And then you just practice like, okay, so I find something new. And then there is a part of the mind what really jumps on it, goes like, oh, but maybe it's even better. Maybe I make more money. Maybe, you know, it's closer to my house. Maybe it's something I like better. And that's really what we need to do with our lives. So bring that positivity in there. And it's yoga. That's what yoga really is. So again, there's volumes written by Swami Shivananda about the power of thought, the power of positive thinking. Swami Shankarananda from that organization, he drives around, goes around, travels around to teach those courses. So do many others. It's the power of positive thinking. And yeah, it's empowering. Thank you for listening. Thank you.